And a big welcome back to everybody to Project Who You Callin' Midget, which is the revitalization of my 1975 MG Midget. And today I am going to actually do a little work on camera. So let's go ahead and get some work done. But first, I'll kind of walk you through some of the shit I didn't film. So in my last video, if you saw it, if you haven't, go to the playlist and, you know, kind of try to catch up on everything. But anyway, I got the air horn mounted and hooked up. I just put it in with some zip tie things, which, you know, probably good enough anyway. But I have a problem where I had to remove the grill because when you turn the wheel, the horn would sound. And so I was thinking that maybe there was a wire in there or something causing an issue. But really, there's no wires that connect to the steering linkage or go anywhere near it, which tells me it's something in the steering wheel, most likely. Now, I replaced what's called the clock spring back a while back, so I'm going to have to look into that. I don't know if I'll do that on the video or not, but that's one of the things I have to work out for safety. I got the lights and turn signals working. Here, so this is the clock spring. I was dicking around with it the other day. So this goes in and then pushes on the button on the steering wheel in there. But let's go ahead and kind of give you an idea of the turn signals. And here, I'll put the hazards on so you can kind of see what's up. Okay, so those go like that, and I really like them. And so now if you go turn signals off, then, or sorry, turn signals off, then you can see that's the running lights, so, or no hazards, whatever. And these are Amazon lights. I can shoot you the link if you need them, but links die on Amazon. I don't know if people realize that, so they may or may not be available. And then we got, oh no, that's hazard. So, oh, we want to go, oh, headlights, oh, sorry, this way, and show you, there's those. And I think people have concerns about the turn signals being visible with the headlights on. It's really no different than most modern cars. Like, I know the camera doesn't pick it up right, but most modern cars have the turn signals in the headlights. So this is no different than that. So let's go ahead and shut that off and headlights off. And so I started putting the interior back together. This carpet's a little damaged, but I don't really worry too much about it because once the roof's down and everything, I don't think it's gonna matter. Show you, I paid a shop to do a repair on the roof. It's not a perfect repair, I'm gonna warn you. But basically, I won't be using the roof unless I was to get caught in the rain. So that's the old back window. And I'll show you what I got done and what I paid for it. So I told the guy I'm not that picky. Unfortunately, I think he made a mistake because the original seam was on the outside of the window. And he's like, oh, I'll cut that out there and then seam in the new one. But he put the seams on the outside. So unfortunately, it got seamed on the outside, which is not ideal because now you got this piece of plastic sticking out. I know it was 150 bucks. But yeah, it would have looked a little nicer if he had put the seam, like the plastic on the inside and then seamed it, but it is what it is. Not a huge deal. But the rest of the roof's in overall good shape. Obviously, it needs cleaning. It's all dusty from working on it. Aside from it's got a little tiny tear there. And like maybe the slightest little one right here. But if it was raining, I could close this and keep reasonably dry. So, good enough. Just for fun, I put one of these wheels on. Unfortunately, I just don't think they're going to work out. They're just too big and too much work for me to make it happen. I think because I've got concerns Well, see, it fits on the hub okay, actually. I was thinking that it wasn't going to cover the hub well enough, but it actually does. But yeah, the problem is the rear. I showed you on my last video. Most people said do not put these wheels on with wheel flares. The front fits in there fine, but the back won't. You gotta have to put wheel spacers, but you can't put wheel spacers on just the back, not the front, because I fear it would look weird. So anyway, I'll probably have to spend like $2,000 on damn wheels. And show you what else. I bought a muffler. It's brand new, but it's actually like a little bit dinged up, unfortunately. But it was brand new stock. The guy bought it for his Bug Eye Sprite. And so I bought this for 150 bucks. It's the Monza, like, I don't know, Italian racing exhauster or whatever. So that's got to go on. I'm not worried about the scratches on the body of it. I don't really care. Under here, I should have filmed it for you guys, but I had quite the battle. Basically, on the other side of the car, these were already changed. On this side, these were pretty chewed up. I think I talked about it in a video that I'd probably have to do it for safety. Ultimately, I haven't gone for safety yet, so I was just like, you know what, maybe I better just do it ahead of time anyway. And so I decided to challenge that, or take that challenge last night. And the little sleeves that were on there, I don't know if I've got them. Yeah. These used to have bushings on them, and then they were on this bolt right here, like they're on there. They were seized on. They didn't want to come off. I had to battle the hell out of that to get those off. Once I had it all apart, that's when I realized that the shock was not even functioning. Like, it was just flopping around. It wasn't doing anything, which is why this front end was so bouncy. So I ended up filling it with oil. Not even the right oil, just 5W20 or 50 or whatever the hell I've got. But no, 5W30 oil. It'll do for now. I'm probably going to have to get this rebuilt because I think it leaks out the seal. It may or may not. I'm not actually sure. But I'll show you the oil that came out of it for anybody that's an MG guy. That was all that was in it. This tiny little bit of black sludge. So I think I'm gonna have to replace it or rebuild it or something. So anyway, yeah, that was hours screwing around with this. And I'll probably film the other side and just talk over it, but the process of how to change the springs, I replaced the spring in there. I got a good deal. They were brand new, never installed. A pair of them for 50 bucks, and they were worth like 60 bucks or whatever, 65 bucks online plus tax and shipping and stuff. So a guy that had them from his old car but never got around to putting them in, 50 bucks for the pair. So I was happy with that. And you can see that back a few months ago, we put the new tie rod ends in, and the previous owner put on new brakes, brake lines. So this front end should be, yeah, good to go. So let's go ahead and get some work done. All right, so now I'm gonna go through the process of changing the spring. So this is the new one. Like I said, they were brand new. Just never installed, whatever, they never got around to it or whatever. So I'm going to try to get my camera or phone, whatever, set up the best I can, but I'll show you exactly what I'm doing, just in case the angle is not that great. So there are 4 bolts in and around here, 1, 2, 3, and there's back on the back side, and they come through right here. And so that spring is loading on that pressure plate. So all the force of that spring is onto that plate. So what we do is we're going to take some longer bolts. We take out one of these, put a long bolt through it, and then, because I don't have full threaded, this would be a lot easier if I had full threaded bolts, like up to here or all the way. But since I don't, what I found is that I can just use a couple of sockets, and I got some washers. And basically I do the same thing. It makes it a bit more of a pain in the ass, but it does the same thing. just with a few extra steps. So what that does, relieves the pressure. Once enough pressure's off, I can pull this piece out, put the new one in, reverse it, and we're good to go. So let's go ahead and get that going. You cunt. All right, let's let the good times roll. So, the way I mentioned with these nuts and bolts and sockets and shit actually is a real pain in the ass. So I'm going to advise that if you can, get the full threaded ones, because like you could probably finish this in a quarter of the time if you weren't having to stop and start, and add sockets and washers. And other than that, I'll say that if you're trying to do one of these cars, these bolts on top are kind of a pain to hold. Like, a socket doesn't really want to fit on them properly because the spring is there. And then a wrench doesn't, like a crescent wrench, doesn't really get the right angle to secure it that well. But I guess it is what it is. I managed, so ultimately you could too. What else? Just kind of while we're watching here, I'll say that most people that are going to be putting a wrench to a car like this know that those springs are under immense pressure. And as far as I understand, they'd kill you in a heartbeat if you don't do this right. If you just think you're going to unbolt these and drop the springs and kind of go to town and change them, I would definitely suggest not doing that. And yeah, and so the funny thing, and I'm going to kind of mention later on, but is that the springs, basically the reason I purchased the springs was because the front end was so bouncy. And yeah, so I was figuring, the springs are probably just worn out and tired. But off video, when I pushed down on the springs just by hand, like the new one versus the old one, there was virtually no difference. So other than having some nice shiny new springs, sorry, my bird's going stupid because I'm talking. Yeah, there's really, as far as I know, probably no real benefit to doing these. So here you're getting to kind of see the reverse process. So this is on the other side of the car. I had a buddy I hadn't talked to in like 20 years call me up, which is why I ended up like stopping the video, and that just kind of like screwed everything up. So anyway, so the plate on these has to go on in a certain direction, longwise, front to back type of thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you're under the car, it would make sense, but it only fit one way. So a jack at this point, you'll see, helps just to kind of take a bit of pressure off so you can get these into the position you want, just to make it so that you can get as many springs and washers and stuff. And hopefully you guys can make out from the video exactly what it is I'm doing here to get this like to go. So I put them on, I tighten it all the way, I take the next one, and it's hard to explain, but once you're in there doing it, you would see the order reverse of how we took the old one off. So I definitely wouldn't say I'm going to be in a big hurry to do this again, which luckily I won't have to. Odds are these shocks or springs will now last the lifetime of the car. Also, just while we're watching this, killing some time, last night I took the car for a spin around the block, and wowza, it was fun. First of all, you can do a burnout really easy. I haven't had a small rear-wheel drive manual car since, I guess a Chevette, like, 25, 26 years ago. I think that would be it. Yeah, like I've had manual cars, but nothing like small and light like this. So, yeah, anyway, super fun. I can't wait to make some videos driving it. I couldn't go really far because the plates aren't quite there yet. I'm still working on that situation. And then the exhaust, later on I'm going to mention the exhaust, but ultimately at this point, after filming, I've decided I'm just going to take it to an exhaust shop and have them put it on properly. I run into too many challenges with getting in here properly. I can't get the car any higher than this safely, and I just don't have the room to maneuver under the car. There's probably only like 12 or 14 inches under the car. These jack stands are not very big, and for the money I'm going to buy a new set of taller jack stands that I generally don't need, it's just not really worth it, because then I need a jack that this jack only goes that high. Yeah. Anyway, I probably should have cut out some of this this bolting stuff, but just hang in there. You'll get to see some other stuff. What else can I tell you? Actually, I don't really have time to tell you anything. As I'm editing this, I realize that we're going to jump into a recorded audio segment on the clip. So that's enough of my rambling on, and let's continue on with seeing what I have to say, because I don't even remember what I had to say. So let's check it out now. Alright guys, actually a few days has passed now since I was working on the suspension, so that's all wrapped up. And for now, I made a video about the wheels before. I decided just to clean up the wheels that are on here, so that looks a little better. Only did the first one. And then I got working on the interior. Still got to do a bit more on the carpet. Got the door put back together most of the way. Still got to put the handle on. So that's all coming together. I don't know if I showed this already because I forget where I left off, but there's the boot on, the boot cover or whatever, I don't know, the roof cover anyway. Let's see here, zoom out a bit there. A little dust on the car there. So then I got working on the exhaust. Originally I was going to pay a shop to do it, but then I got thinking I've got a welder and nothing to lose. So ultimately I was like, well, if I do a shitty job, it's not a big deal. I just take it in and pay somebody. But for now, I made a little bracket, put it up through the floor, but I may run into some issues right there with the rear axle hitting it. So I'm not quite sure yet, but what I did find was that for welding, because originally my welds that from like way back when I started this car and tried welding, it didn't go very well. And it was probably because I was using this like coppery wire. Let me see if I got it. Kicking around right here. This shit right here. Kind of like copper. You can see the difference. I went and I bought this, and night and day difference. I can actually bead with it. So when I actually get everything properly finished, on the next video I'll show you everything. But yeah, I just got to get ready for some dinner, but I wanted to be able to edit this video together tonight, so I'll probably just call it wraps there. This windshield's still not in because I'm having a hard time getting these bolts to line up at their hole. It seems that the gasket down here, the gasket's in, it's definitely in properly, but getting the windshield pushed down into place seems to be a little trickier than I anticipated. Getting new door seals, just don't have them yet, so these, sorry, burping there as I'm trying to talk. These ones here are temporary. They're gonna come off. I'll put nice ones on. I have to use a little bit of paint thinner and stuff on here, no big deal. So that'll pretty much wrap it up for this update. I appreciate everyone that's been watching, following along, and all the nice comments and shit like that. And a big shout out to Eric, the guy I bought the car from, and hopefully one day I can cruise out there, take you for a spin. And oh yeah, one last thing. In the glove box here, where's the button? Look way to the back in here. I don't know if I can actually get it to open. Sometimes it's tricky because they didn't actually put a handle on it. to do. Hold on. I gotta pull on it with one hand, and there we go. Way back in there.